Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking with Alan Brown. Alan joined the army in 1994 and reached the rank of WO2 before leaving. Alan had, let's say, a turbulent career, but one thing that stayed constant throughout was his involvement with boxing. Alan boxed from an early age and is now a GB team coach along with running a gym in Chesterley Street. Today he tells us about his career, the ups, the downs, and there was many of them. But life's looking up for him afterwards. This is his story. I hope you like it. If you like these podcasts, please consider buying me a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frankie'sPod. It just helps to fund the software and the hosting. Thank you. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Tonight I've got Alan Brown. Alan Brown served in 39 Regiment, Royal Artillery. I knew him from the short period that I was there. We were in the same battery for a very short time before I went in to do a different job. You're all right, Alan? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Andrew. Thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. So it's the usual questions that I ask everybody. So where did you grow up? Why did you join the army? What did you do? And more importantly, and probably more interestingly on your half, is what you've done afterwards. So we'll just start at the beginning. So where did you grow up and why did you join the army?
I was born in Gateshead, moved over to Washington as a young lad, and that's where I spent my first 16 years. Joined the army at 16. However, I was actually on the way to join the Navy. The two recruitment officers were next door to each other. Didn't want to join any, but I was obviously in quite a bit of bother at the time. I had my dad basically frog march me over. Looked at the two uniforms and thought I'd look better in the army uniform than the Navy uniform, and literally that's why I joined the army.
Fair enough. So was that straight in Harrogate, was it?
No, I was. I think I was either the first or the second junior intake that was put into senior intake. So I was one of two of the 16-year-olds that was in the senior intake back in 1994.
I didn't know.
Which was sort of unique in itself, to be honest. Yes, I didn't get no junior build-up or sort of protection or whatever you want to call it, development. I was just thrown into that end down in Purbright.
Right. And how did you find that, going straight from being a kid into training?
Shock. It was hard. 16 and I think the average age was probably 20 to 24. Because obviously I started boxing when I was 12. So it's not like an environment I wasn't used to, as in with the older lads and that. But it was more, I think, looking for when I got an older age to when, from the younger age, with the impact on my body, knees, ankles, back and that. It's just the way it was back then. So it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was great. And then phase 2, I went on to light guns originally because I had aspirations to go 7th from training, obviously, with my running and everything else. Went from phase 2 Larkhill over to 7 Para, where I did 2 sort of back-to-back P companies. But unfortunately, I was playing football at the back because, as you know, I wasn't very good at listening to people. And when they were trying to give us a bit of help, sometimes told us I was being silly playing football on the Friday when I was going to the P company on the Sunday, and as it happens, I slipped on a drain, span into a wall and smashed my knee. The night before. So I sort of writ us off for about 6 months. Went up to 5th Regiment, went through sort of the medical side, said they were going to medically discharge me because of the damage to my knee. Wasn't really sure what to do because you didn't sort of get the physio what you're getting now back then. Went into the gym, started building up the muscles around my legs, everything else. 6 months later, I was back in normal service and went on to achieve 24 to 26 years. Wow. From nearly being medically discharged. So that's how my career started at the age of 16, which is a little bit different in itself. But I was at 5th Reg then.
So what were you doing at 5th Reg?
GMLRS. It was MLRS back then.
Yeah.
Before it got converted. So it was back then. It was the one of 2 or 3 MLRS regiments. Because you had 3-9 as well. So yeah, it was 1 or 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they were supposed to be getting kept on around about 98, 99. Obviously, there was whatever was going on with Parliament. And starting to like minimise the army, and then it was 5th Regiment that got sort of took out. So all MLRSM went to 3-9. I went down to 20 Commando at that point. When the lads then went up to 3-9, so I was a little bit behind the curve by the time I came back up to 3-9, which was around about 2000, I think it was.
What did you say there? You went down to 20 Commando?
Yeah, I was down at 20 Commando down in Lincolnshire, and then they got disbanded as well. So I went through 2 regiments in a short period. So I've got a knack at this. And 20 Commando was disbanded, but I was absolutely devastated, to be honest, because that was an amazing battery. That was my first period in the army where I got tracked like an adult, and you were tracked like an adult. It was just an amazing people and an amazing battery.
Did you do the Commando course?
Yeah, I went down to Plymouth, but again, I still had all the damage on my knees, everything else. So I only got past the bottom field at that part when I had a big hiccup with my knee, which was a shame. It was nearly there or thereabouts. But the length of time it took to get the rehabilitation, I was ready to go back down. Obviously, the regiment disbanded. I also had a bit of a problem of many. My first main discipline problem while I was at 20 as well, which resulted in obviously being moved away from the battery as well, unfortunately. And had to go back to 5th Regiment. 5th Regiment didn't want me back. So if I'd actually used my head, I could have just gone home and I wouldn't have had anywhere and I would have just got paid. Yeah. Because I was on nobody's books for about a month. But yeah, had a bit of an interaction with a senior at the time. I was a gunner. Yeah. Which didn't result well in for the senior. Luckily, the battery sergeant major at the time was amazing. Got on really well with him. He sort of understood the situation. Instead of going down a bad disciplinary route, he got me back home. And he was the one that got me back to 3-9, to be honest, when 5th Regiment said they didn't want us back. So, yeah, I thought my army career was about finished, to be honest.
For the first time.
For the first time, yeah.
Hey, we've all been there, mate. We've all been there. I did 27 and I come up as a full screw. I wasn't exactly a flying example of a modern soldier, you know what I mean?
But this is the thing, like I was a yo-yo. I was more of a yo-yo.
Yeah.
But at this point I was just stuck. I couldn't get promoted. So it wasn't too bad, you know what I mean? There's a gunner getting disciplined, you don't really care. You're not losing money or anything. It is what it is. So
how did you find 3-9 Regiment when you got there then?
Very strange, because it's, as I say, before I got to 3-9, I'd had experience down at 7th. I had really great, 2 years or a year and a half at 20. I'd had the experience of 5th Reg, which honestly was an amazing regiment. 5th Reg, it was like a bad boys posting. So all the seniors were very big guys, really, really amazing. Very different way of being brought up in the army, but in many ways the right way as well. I'd done Ireland at a very early age. I was over there at 17, so I was a little bit too young. Had my 18th birthday over there. Nobody realised. Celebrated that when somebody come in and said, "What you doing? Celebrating my 18th birthday?" I don't think so. Need to keep this one quiet. Yes. So I had like that 7-month tour with a peace treaty breaking down with 3rd Archer it was attached to. So I had that experience. Again, another great regiment for the time I was there. I was Armagh. I was Armagh doing... Oh, it's got me calling now. I had... Was it D. Barry?
Yeah, D. Barry.
Joe Howe?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a... Yeah, sorry. That's what I had attached with us. He was one of the section commanders. The multiple sergeants. So at the time, I was in... Chris Sharp was section commander. I'm trying to think of names, God. Just, do you know what? It was amazing. It was a hard tour. Obviously, there was things went wrong. We had the Steve Restrick incident. Yeah. We were doing security on the PVCP that night, doing the satellite and sort of patrols around it. But the 7-month there was an eye opener. Sent back home at the end of that, back to 5th Reg, straight out to Cyprus, UN. But again, there was no bans. There was like 2 bars, I think it was, out of bounds on the whole of the island. So we go to Iron Nap, you go absolutely anywhere. So that was like the best 6 months of my army career because it was a summer tour. Again, many things went wrong. Ended up on Channel 4 on that bloody documentary. Squaddies in Cyprus, and it was all recorded. We were the ones that went out, and the crews come over, chatted with us. We were selling fags at the time, and said they'd pay for the whole night as long as we screwed the bobbin. Obviously, as young soldiers, like, yeah, we'll screw the bomb. We got a free night. Ended up in Iron Napa at the Bedrocks at the car, with the Bedrocks Flintstones car naked, singing. And then somebody kicked off, and then before you know it, you're running up and down the road naked, having a scrap, and yeah, Channel 4's there documenting it and putting it on TV. So,
You know what? I never knew that. I never knew that.
That was a nice fruity time. Basically told that was it. Your career's pretty much fascinated from there. But again, managed to regain because there was many other incidents on that tour that happened. So it sort of smoke screened it, which is cool. But again, that was an amazing learning time as a young soldier, though, developing and just growing up and being around this crazy sort of hectic life.
So when you were at 5th Regiment, did you not fancy going for the old special OPs and all that? 473?
I did. When I was at 5th, me troop sergeant was X473. And we had quite a close link back then anyway. There's a lot of competitive, like the Suez PT and that. Yeah. I did all because you had to learn Morse code back then. This is, you're talking probably 1996, around about that year, 97. I'm not very good with dates. And I did do a lot of preparation for it and prep. But again, we were doing a driving course on the training area. Again, if I'm getting this sort of slightly calculated because of age and moving on in time. The Land Rover, I was in the back, and the guy that was driving it took it up onto the ridge, and it toppled over.
All right.
Luckily, it just been fitted with a roll bar, so I was just literally in the back doing a star shape as the Rover's rolling down. Yeah, with everything in the back, chains and all the ammo boxes, and I unfortunately took a bit of damage from that, which again took us out of the game for quite a while. And then after that, I don't know. I can't remember what happened now. I don't know if I was heavily involved in my boxing then, running as well. And I think I just got sidetracked and was concentrating on that at the time. So it sort of took us away.
So then back to the 3-9 then. We'll start there again.
Sorry?
So we'll go back to 3-9. You joined there, and you said it was a bit of a different regiment. I mean, I noticed that when I came from 3rd.
Yeah.
Very different regiment to all the others I'd experience of.
It was. I mean, because I was behind, like the lads had already gone from 5th Reg up, so they were settled.
Yeah.
And there was sort of remembered it was like you had 3-9, you had 5th Reg, if that makes sense. Yeah. You could see there was definitely a divide, a definite divide. That was quite bad. So as I came up late, I came up with a lad that had just come up from 2-9, Little Mac at the time. So we just naturally integrated, obviously, onto the 3-9 side. So that was a bit friction because it was like some of your mates were like, well, why are you mixing with them? And then 3-9 were like, why are you mixing with them? And you just, I don't know, it didn't matter who you spoke to, you just upset somebody. So I just didn't really care and just got on with it in the end. But it made it very, very different for about, it must have been a good year. Yeah, it had to have been a good year. I'm sure we went to, I think it was when we went to Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm sure we had a tour in Ireland. And I think that gelled everybody together and sort of forced everything together. But I think if that hadn't happened, it was just getting a bit silly. It was.
I mean, I noticed when I come over in 2006. I mean, I got a post in there just because I needed to get back to the UK, and I didn't. She was 3-9. She was 3-9. She was me, and I rocked up there, and they didn't have a job for us. They didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
I had no MLRS experience. I'd never worked in the CPs on them and stuff like that. I mean, I got stuck in Abu's, and they just went, go in the SIG store. I was like, yeah, I'm happy. I'll go in there, do that, and then got offered that other job and went off and done that supposedly for 6 months, and was sat at that desk for 6 years. So that was a bit of a Well, I think it was all right. I was just kept out of the way. Let you lot crack on with it. But I found the regiment to be, I wouldn't say up its own arse, but very it looked inwards instead of outwards. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was just super clicky, man.
Yeah, it's just
You know,
it really was.
even
Sorry, I'm just saying you could tell the difference
oh,
between
sorry.
like the 5 reg and the 3.9 and all that.
Mm.
You could see it when I got there because they started. It was like as if they were trying to drip feed outsiders into the regiment. So like Jimmy Foley,
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
there was loads of others as well, and you could see that they were a different breed, let's say, than the rest of the regiment. They just did things differently, a different way. I'm not saying better. I'm not saying worse.
Mm-hmm.
You can make your own mind up with that. But it was, I did find it to be, yeah, I'll be honest, quite a strange regiment when I got there. It was just like, what the fuck, they
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it was as if they thought the only regiment in the artillery was 3.9 regiment, and there wasn't any others. And to be fair,
So
probably
like,
right, because now what's happened now?
yeah, yeah. Even I mean, look, fifth reg, the inter-battery rivalry was brilliant. You had P and K battery, and it was massive, but you came together.
Yeah.
So, and if there was bother downtown, and there was people from K battery, and there was obviously we were P battery, K battery would jump in and look after P battery, and vice versa with K. When I came to 3.9, that absolutely wasn't the case. There was very much a battery rivalry. It was huge, and that was good. But there was no intermingling. It was very, very strange at the beginning. But the problem that I had was in the battery itself. The battery was like split into two contexts. So you had 176 battery, and then you had 5th Regiment.
Yeah.
And that's how I found it at the beginning. And then you had a few of us that were like in the middle, like who'd come up late, or then you had the lads or lasses that were joining like later on, if that makes sense. So then you had a third comparison all inside one room, and I just didn't think it wasn't good. Career wise, absolutely not. Like yourself, there was people. I was lucky. I got put back in MLRS, and I think because it's not that I was bad by any means. I want to perceive that I was bad, but because I'd had a few incidents and some scrappy incidents as well, and a few dramas with rank. I'd gone over to I got Jonah as my number one, who was crazy in himself. But I had the likes of Piggy Parker in that, so, you had that strong nucleus put around me straight away. So I'm appreciative for that. I don't know if it's just a fluke or if they just went, you can have this guy and sort him out or whatever. But that sort of worked well for me, especially Jonah, very, very much. But it was promotion, non-existent. How were they breaking down who was in what sort of order, because 5th Regiment, I think it just put everybody at the top and give everybody A grades or whatever it was, So they were looked after when they moved into the regiment, which then caused problems in the regiments they were coming to. It was just a mess. It wasn't done. It wasn't done well. It wasn't done good at all.
I
It wasn't done
mean,
good at
every
all.
regiment does that. When we moved from 4.7, we all
Yeah,
had these. I'd say we all had amazing reports. I think everybody else
I
did.
got a C.
Everybody else did. Mine was shit.
Yeah, I got a crap one. I had a C. I was like that.
No,
Where's looking after me?
mine was always crap, to be honest.
Oh God!
It's your old regiment trying to look after you and
Yeah,
succeeding very
yeah.
well.
Do you know? Do you know what was mad though? Like, because everybody was sort of shitting on each other. All right, yeah. And it's so like each branch basically turned into a battery. So you'd have your SIGs lot would be shitting on the GMLS lot, and then the GMLS lot was shitting on the Q stores and the MT, and it was just like, it was crazy. And then like when we used to go down the Nuffy, like you would just have people groups. You'd have everybody sat in the little corners, like gobbit, like like slagging each other off, and then it was just so awkward. It was when I look back. Actually, I've not thought about it until now. It was absolutely horrendous. Actually, yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. Like how it came together at some point, because 176 it came. It became. I mean, I'm not saying it was the perfect battery by any means whatsoever, not. But it became a very, very, very strong battery. Down the line, very strong. And even when you had like 7.4 come up, you had 132 obviously was the rivalry, and the two batteries came together. So that reminded me of P and K battery, down the line was 132 and 176. They were the way they smash each other, especially at Christmas with the kidnappings, trying to I mean, the kidnappers were horrendous. People got kidnapped and put in flats down in Newcastle, and nobody knew where they were. With ransom notes going up to BSMs and that, asking for ransoms and that. Just taking a whole new level. But it did become the army later down the line.
Yeah.
But it absolutely was a million miles away that for quite a predominant period of time. But as I say, I think Ireland must have been Ireland that brought it together.
I mean, it was fairly quiet when I got there in 2006. There wasn't much going on a night in Naffy and stuff like that, because I'd heard, some of the stories of the lads and in the block, and it just seemed that was quite, well, where's everyone at, type of thing, when I used to go in the bar at night and stuff like that, and the stories what the lads used to say. And I think the regiment must have just, like, I don't know, grown a little bit, or different types of people were there. Some of the characters are left and stuff like that. Because, I mean, there was some big characters in 176. I mean, I rocked up there, and I kind of, I think the first Christmas do we had, I put a table through the wall in a naffy. And I went back up the next day to fix the hole. So I replastered the wall. And then on Monday morning, went in to see the RSM. It was one of the IQs was doing it, because I think he was aware. And I marched into his office and said, the trouble in the naffy the other night. He's like, yeah. I says, well, that was me, but I've fixed it, so I'm here to take any punishment. And he just looked at me and went, no one's reported anything. I was like, oh, fuck. He says, well, thanks very much for admitting it. And we'll leave it at that, since you fixed it. So I was like, all right, fair enough. That's he said to me afterwards that nobody would have come up and owned up to it in the regiment. So it was obviously a different type of person there than most of the guys who were there. But it's what it is. It kept me out of trouble, type of thing, because I think they'd have found out the other way. I mean, I remember the NCO's mess dues we had there, which was quite memorable, when we had it in the gym and we had a levy night.
Yeah.
I think it was fancy dress. And News lot came in. I don't think
was that the Zulus?
Yeah, I don't think you should get away with it now.
No, absolutely not.
Can
you not remember what we did to Jai Oldham?
Yeah, well, I seen News lot coming in, and I was like, that's a bit close to the knuckle, even back then. And then Jai walked in, being the only black guy, who was now white. And I thought, it was so funny that was. It was hilarious. Whose idea was that then?
I can't remember. I think it was all of ours. We were trying to just, obviously, we were always trying to push the wagon and everything we did, weren't we? There was a group of us, and obviously we mean no harm in it. It wasn't like it wasn't like a racist banner or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It was literally like, I want to dress as a Zulu. We've got good bodies, so let's put some straw skirts on and go naked, and let's dress Jai up as a white Zulu, because it's pointless, because we need to put body paint on. But all I remember is the next day was God, the photos anyway were good, but just hell going on. There was just crap everywhere, all over the gyms, with the black paint that we had all over our bodies and that, and obviously the block in that. We tried to say that we hadn't trashed the block that night, but you could see our black body paint all over the walls. Everything else. And I'm sure we had to actually get in the showers, all of us, and just literally scrub each other down, because the body paint we got was the wrong body paints. we couldn't actually get it off our bodies. So literally you were just hands on, because it just get absolutely meshed to get it off. So was it worth it in the end? But that was a good night.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Good people.
It was only messed around that day when we came out. It was still daylight, and all the beer that was left was supposed to go back to the sergeant's mess. And from memory, I don't think any of it turned up. I don't know. The lad who were driving it back in a minibus still went on a detour and lost it or something. I don't know, but the bill.
I'll put hands up there.
The bill
for
that
night
was
an absolute shed load.
Yeah, the bill for that night was a lot.
I remember the hell on afterwards.
Yeah, you're never going to do that again. Don't think I want to. But
the RSM knew that we'd pinched it, but he couldn't prove it.
No.
So because we like always used to be in and bother sort of thing, and we were quite tight, it was like, no. No, don't know what you're talking about. Nothing to do with us. And it was all in the block. Even when they come and search the blocks, it was in the block. We had stuff up in the hangar. Honestly, man, it was. That was a good. God, I've got a photo of that somewhere. We were all stood there. Everybody's in like good fancy dress, and then there's us. Barrel sacks out and everything else, dressed up as in black body paint and white body paint.
That was cool.
Yeah, good times.
That was kind of like my introduction to use lot, really.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah, these are all right, actually.
God, I'm trying to think what rank we were then.
I think you were. I think you were a full screw.
What year was that? About? When did you come?
I come 2006, so it'll be in 2007.
Yes, I was a full screw. Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, enough of the jollities and them. So what happened to the rest of your career then? Before we move on to the more interesting, the other interesting part of your life.
Got my first stripe on about 8 years. Obviously, I'd already had a career stopper, which was like basically a promotion ban. I can't remember, it was 12. I think you got a date on it, like 12 month, 24 month, 36 month, whatever it was. I can't remember though, but I'd had a sort of a career stopper as a gunner. Got my first stripe, which I was quite happy about, and then lost that. I think that was downtown scrapping. I lost that, whatever that was. But again, it didn't take me long to get it back. Went out to Cyprus, did me full screws course out there, did really well on that. Good times. Got joined top student, if there's ever such a thing. It's just because I couldn't take bloody drill. And I didn't want to even open in my mouth. Psylocke did well on the course as well. And he was really good at taking drill, and he got the top notch. Took the parade, thank God, because I couldn't think of anything worse. And I would have absolutely ballsed it up. And then got me full screw. So everything's going nice now. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm married, I'm settling down, I'm out of trouble, I'm still enjoying life, I'm doing well in my army career. I think I'm learning the game a little bit here. And then I went to Harrogate. Broke the record for the shortest serving soldier in Harrogate for getting R2U'd. Reread the IDKIS policy. At the time it was IDKIS, which was, the manual basically to keep everything right. Yeah. Got really severely accused of something that I absolutely 100% wasn't doing, I didn't do. Which when I was taken out the system, I was still in Harrogate at this point. I'd only been there about 6 weeks. They were like, I had to be escorted around everywhere I went. Unless I was in my room, I was escorted to the doors, escorted when I come out. I was put in a cell. It was absolutely horrendous. I went down, I managed to get off camp, went down, spoke to a solicitor, told him everything that was going on. The guy was amazing. Give us some really good advice, because it was more to do with like the upper echelon sort of area, like command officers at the time. And the words he used was, when you're talking to these people, obviously, because it was quite off-putting, as you know, they're just a person. It's just a person with a badge on the chest. And I've never looked at sort of rank or people like that, you know what I mean? And especially from your upbringing at 5th Reg, you'd get absolutely smashed. So I sort of took that on and went in. And when I went up on the orders, I was still actually waiting to find out what I was actually getting charged for. And then when he actually said what I was getting charged for, after he asked me like 3 completely irrelevant questions, I had him. I was like, I've got you. You've just fucked up. And I hope the scribe is scribing. Every one of you now. And I have got legal that's going on right now. And just so you're aware, you're accusing me of being with this junior soldier, blah, 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 blah. She's actually not, and she's off that age, and she's, in our regiment, and blah, blah, blah. And then I remember the RSM shutting it all down, like behind us and escorting us out. Asked us to go to the office, apologising, which was too late, obviously, at this point. Saying, I know what's happened now. We've got this wrong, this, that, and the other. I was like, it's too late. I was still R2, by the way. Yeah. So obviously things calmed down very quickly from then. But like mental health wise, in myself, I was obviously a mess at this point. Yeah, I just come. I think I just come out of my first marriage, my first big hiccup on my first marriage, as well. So I was sort of dealing with all that, and then ended up back at. I can't even remember how it happened. I just ended up back at 5th Reg. At 3-9. And at the time, I did not get on with the Battery Sergeant Major. And I remember just so I won't name. He just, I remember when I got there, he asked us to come in the office. He didn't ask us to march in, just told us to walk in, take my address off, sit down, and he just laughed at us. Said, I told you that would happen. Okay, yeah, I'm glad I'm getting here, and sent me off. Said I was getting posted out of Ireland straight away. I was like, I haven't done my course, I'm not insured. I've just got back, I'm a mess. He went, no, you'll do your course when you're out there, and sent me out. So it was like a matter of weeks, and I was posted out Dramad Barracks, is it, in Belfast?
Yeah.
Dramad. Yeah. Had to go and do a course, everything else, but I think that's the first time where I really, really got hammered, where I always thought when I went through a discipline, I was always sort of like in a position where I was in control, or I was like, I'm not bothered, or I was sort of above the person that was in front of me trying to discipline me, as stupid as that sounds. I think this was the first time where I realised that I wasn't, and I was just treated like absolute shit. And that's fine. But it was in the mannerism that it was done, hanging out of windows, of a sanger, cleaning them, and just ridiculous stuff, like where people were actually complaining, from outside. Whether or not the truth in that is, I'm not sure, but that's what I was told. And on the last day, it was on the main gate. I had to go into the main sanger through the side gate, and it was just full of like piss bottles, just all sorts. You imagine for years getting thrown over, and they wanted us to basically clear it. And I remember just stepping in, just sinking. I had all this glass, just all sorts like around us, and I just went, "This is just too much now." And that was it. Come out, told the guard not to sort of come near us. I was going. Obviously, they knew where I was going because I knew where he was at the time. There was a football match going on in the football pitch that was in the middle of the barracks, and the only intentions I had, I wanted to go down and smash his teeth in, and absolutely just go through him. I was sort of stopped as I got there. Bit of commotion. Obviously, he left quite quickly. Yeah, that was sort of that. I was finished with the army then. That was me. I didn't want to continue in any capacity whatsoever. I thought I'd just been minced over. Absolutely, the system itself just completely collapsed on us. And you know what? I even on me report when I was in Harrogate, I literally wrote what I did, what I'd actually done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like literally, I couldn't have been any more truthful. Like, and it just was mental. Like, I just thought, what's the point? I can't remember a great deal from that. There was so much more detail in that. I just physically cannot remember it for whatever reason. I was put back into I'd gone from a full screw now.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I can't remember if I was a gunner or a lance jack. I think I was a lance jack. And I was very lucky at this point. The one thing, can you remember Abo?
Yeah.
God bless him. I had him, Stretch. Just these so influential people that I look back that didn't realise it at the time, that really, really, kept me. Even Harry Harrington at the time was very influential at this point, and we had our ups and downs, we had our hiccups. Very influential at this point. Other people around us, just as a support mechanism that I didn't realise that I had until I looked back, was just phenomenal. But I was literally rock bottom, like just absolutely rock bottom. Not a lot of people knew that. It's not something I really talk about.
Well, you don't talk about it then because you don't realise, and two, if you do realise, you don't feel as though you want to burden anybody else. Plus, you know what it was like. You start talking about things like that to others, and you class yourself as being weak because that's how everybody talked about it. And it wasn't. People didn't think that, but it was just there was too much of the old guard or old thoughts that big men can't talk, don't talk, whatever. And even up until like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we were still doing that in the army. We were still not talking about stuff. I mean, we both know people who were in that regiment as FTRS who aren't any longer with us. And it's just shit, isn't it? Yeah, so
it's that persona.
In there, sorry.
It's that. No, it's good. It's that persona that you sort of carry yourself, or you think. Like, I used to think I had this persona. I was a boxer, I was this, I was that. I thought I held, I don't know, a position that I probably never ever held. But at the time I thought I did, and then it was all broken. Yeah. But the main of it was just, like, what the hell was going on? I didn't understand it. I thought, how can you be getting done and this can be happening when I legitimately haven't done anything in the first place? And I'm not one for like I'm a liar. You know, it's one thing I never did through my army career was lie. If I went downtown and got into a fight, if I did this, I did that, I can tell you, it is what it is. I'm not saying I didn't twist the lie or take certain elements out of the lie. I absolutely did.
Of course you do.
But I wouldn't stand there and let somebody get in the shit just so I could get out of it, by any means. But all I remember was we had a new BC come, first Royal Marine into the artillery, and what an absolute legend. And I remember being stood, and again, I hope I don't get any of this wrong, because I can remember being stood outside of his door, and I was at this point, I'm sure I'd signed off or whatever. Everything was, I just wanted to go. I just wanted to get out. And he came to the door, opened the door, and then looked at us, and looked us up and down, and went, Bon Brown. And I was like, yeah. And he went, you're the one, hold on, and shut the door. And I was like, what the fuck? And I could hear the phone in the office, through the door. And he'd rang up the BSM at the time, who again was another absolute, he was my first ever DC, you know what I mean? So influential in my army career, amazing guy. Hard, rough, very strict guy with us, amazing. And I heard him say, yeah, he is this, Bon Brown, is that the one? And whatever he was saying, I just went, fuck this and fuck everything now. And I just started walking off down the corridor. And thank God he just got to the door before I'd gone around the corner. And do you know what? He could have gone mental, right? And he didn't. He was just stopped us, talked to us, got us back up to the room. He didn't have to treat me that way. He could have gone absolutely spaz. Got me in the office, sat me down, and just says, just basically give him a bit of time or day. Might have been a bit strict when he said that, a bit more, but and took me and me berry off at the time, so I was a bit more relaxed. And he just went, "What burst your bubble? What's happened? What's burst the bubble? I've got all these reports. You've got this, you've got that, you've done this, and everything's great." And then all of a sudden, bang! And I just went, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to tell you what I did, and I'm going to tell you everything I did that I didn't get caught for, right? Everything. And I just fucking just told him everything. And I remember at the end of it, I felt a bit of relief, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I am really, really fucked now. There was some serious shit went over that desk, right? And I remember him standing up and shouting. And that's when I thought, fuck, what have you just done? What have you just done? And he picked the phone up, and he got the BSM, basically come straight in and put the phone down. He went, right, I'm going to back you. And I was still like, am I in this shit? Am I, what's going on? And he just, I'm going to back you. I believe everything you've just told us. This is wrong. This shouldn't have happened. This should have been put in place. Blah, 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 blah. I can see what's gone on now. And long story short, after obviously a very reassuring conversation and a bollocking as well for some of the things I did that I didn't get done for, and not to be so open. He just said, "Give us 6 months, and I'll turn you. As long as you put the work in, I'll turn your career around." But obviously you have to put the graft in. So I just thought, I love Ireland. I love doing that type of role. I don't know. I just fucking went for it. I thought, I've got nothing to lose. Went for it. Had a few hiccups. I had all the burns when I got set on fire when we were doing all the writing stuff, everything else. Got good support, really great. Come home, got me full screw back, and he got me reposted back to Harrogate. So from being RTU'd, trying to get kicked out of the army, fucking put on the offenders list, just whatever was going on, everything, you can imagine it would be sky high because you're classed as a teacher.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrendous. I'm now totally back on track and going back to Harrogate, which was quite daunting, but obviously I had to do that because I had to close that chapter myself to show that was one thing that's one thing in my army career that I wanted to get rid of because of all the wrongs I've done, all the trouble I've getting into. That was one part of my career that was bullshit. That was utter bullshit. And the great stories that come from there were some funny ones, brilliant. They were just bullshit, unfortunately.
But you had to go back to not just close that chapter, but to prove to everyone else that, and to Harrogate as well. What was it like actually going back there then? How did you feel about
that? I'd just gone to Afghan and come back. And I'd met my wife now, Kelly, thank God that I met her. 15 years later, or whatever it is, I'll get wrong, so I never remember how long. But 15 years later, we're still together, bless her, pulling us. God, how she puts up with us, I don't know. It was, when you want to really prove a point and you want to prove it too much, that's how I went into Harrogate. And I also was a bit blasé with the fact that I was like giving the big finger up to everybody, going, fuck everybody.
Yeah.
I told you this was the case. Even my friends thought it was bollocks, and that I would been up to no good and doing this and doing that. And it was that made us reflect as well on how people were looking at me as well. That made us sort of, okay, I've got this reputation here, and rightly so, a lot of times. But I didn't really like to be looked at that. That wasn't sort of who I was, even though it was. That makes sense, because that's just called the kettle black in it and gone completely reversed. But I went in, absolutely hit it hard, was doing great, loved it. I had the female platoon as well. That was the best bit about it all. They put us straight into with the mixed platoon. So it was like, okay, you just set me up to fail now. Doing amazing. I had one of me, because obviously I work very close with. I've always worked close with people. I've always worked close with my soldiers. I believe you need to know your people that you work around and understand how they work and everything else. Be able to support them correctly as well. I was always big on that and when I was managing people. And he was having a horrific time, like suicidal, a really horrific time. So we had a night when I'm on the Rangers in York, and he was going out regardless. So I would have had to put him behind bars to stop him from going out. And I make it sound a bit more dramatic than what it wasn't, by the way, this night. We'd been bowling or whatever. And all the entire officer up had been out at a house party at the BCs at the time, the OC, sorry, at the time. Obviously drinking, barbecues, having a good time, and that's fine. I've got no problem with that. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah. So even though I'm a sergeant now, I've still got that good for the goose, good for the gander immature side of me. So I was like, I tell you what, lad, I'm going to stay with you. And we went out. Unfortunately, that night turned out to be a really good night, which was a problem in my life when I went out. And coming back in at a reasonable time at around 10, 11 o'clock, never happened. We came back in at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, running over the car park, hiding behind cars, trying not to get caught. Obviously we're on Rangers that day. Now, luckily, we were in the console, so we're not on the Rangers. We're not dealing with ammunition, weapons, blah, blah, blah. We're literally, in the console. It doesn't really make it right, but it is what it is. We got into the accommodation, but there was room inspections going on. So I'd already told all me section commanders, everything else, it was their stuff. Get sorted out, blah, blah, blah. Cover for this individual. Yeah. So it was all done. That was done. We got in, got changed. And then we had, because we had such a close-knit sort of team and everything else, it was amazing. We had one of them come running down and tell us, right, the CSM's en route. He's literally coming down the corridor. He's beelining for you. So brilliant. So I just getting all me go, get off rig, getting everything sorted out. And I thought for some stupid reason, I was like, right, get out the window. It's daylight, by the way. So I'm now bollocks naked, trying to climb up this fucking window, right? Trying to get through the top, which I got stuck. So I've got my arse hat. Thank God I got stuck. Otherwise I would have been getting fucking done. And he just coming through the door, opened the door, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't really got an answer for this one." So, obviously, I got sorted out. So he knew something was up at this point, but he didn't have any sort of glinches on it. Went down, got everybody down on time. Everything was sorted out. I went up to the console, and I just remember somebody coming down and getting us and saying, "Right, you need you're being." Oh, sorry, it was my platoon commander, who I was actually quite close to. She was a good girl up until this moment, and she basically says, right, I'm now going to remove you from the range, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you on about? I'm in the fucking console. Like, I was actually all right. But I'm in the fucking console. She was like, no, CSM knows this, knows that. I says, well, it's your fucking job to back me, you twat. Okay, you's all on the piss yesterday, fucking stinking. And, you know, you's all got squared away. We backed it, covered everything. Not everything was all done. Well, anyway, both of us got escorted off. And then we're back at the block, obviously having an argument, because it was like, no, this is bullshit. There's no way you're double standing on me here, right? And I was nailing it. All right, Andy? And then the lad who I was trying to look after started fucking crying. And I thought, shit, I'm done. That's it, we're done. It's just mental health broke down. And obviously that then, because I didn't get on, the other background story to this is the actual company sergeant major at the time. When I was in Cyprus, I did a massive charity thing that was documented, publicised on Spanish TV. We raised loads of money. It was going across the assault courses. I did all of it. And then this twat took all the, I hadn't even seen him before. He took all the recognition for it. I got nothing. So we had a bad, and I went over the desk to fucking chin him as well. When I found out, I went over, so he didn't like us anyway. But he had us. He was like, I've got you. And I was like, fuck. He went, look at his mental health. Look at what you've done. You were in command of the soldier. And I was like, yeah, I'm fucked. Yeah, you've got us. However, you was on the piss last night. So I went back up onto CO's orders. I'm obviously a lot more like in gist of how the system works now and everything else. And at this point, the platoon command at the time then tried to back us and stand like shoulder to shoulder with us sort of thing. I was like, it's too late. You've thrown us under the bus. Like, do you know what I mean? I can't believe you've done that. You know, if I was rolling around the fucking range and that, absolutely minging and shouting at fucking recruits and this, that, and the other, but it absolutely, you know, it's not to make the wrong right, by the way. It's absolutely wrong, but. I went up on the CO's orders anyway. The OC was trying to get me kicked out because obviously there was an issue with the CSM and everything else. And a few parts I'm leaving out. The CO at the time went, nah, the work you're doing is top notch. I can see where you've been and what you're doing now and everything else. I'm going to give you a lifeline, which nobody had given us before. And when I was on disciplinary records, I was doing really well, by the way.
Yeah.
Makes it sound like I'm just in trouble all the time, doesn't it? And he said, he sent me down to basically the rehabilitation unit because it was just a mess, which obviously I didn't want to do. But it was like, if I get RTU'd now, I am 100% done. Like, that is my career done. I will not be able to be, no matter how hard I work or how good I think I am or how egotistic I am, I'm not getting out of this shit. So I took the olive branch, thank God. I went down to, it was Imaging Platoon at the time, changed it all, rebuilt it all, pretty much on my own as well doing it. I got accommodation for it, one of two I got in my time at Harrogate. So I got my first accommodation for it. And then from that, he then removed me from that because I was on my own. With everything going on, a lot of the OCs had took notice. So I had this one OC, again, another amazing guy that came in the right time in my career, was coming in the office all the time. He used to come in, take his rank slide off, and he's buried, and he used to come in and go, right, I'm not an officer, because you can tell by his voice, you don't know who I am, we just come to chat. So what's going wrong? Talk to us. And you see, I was like stressed. It was just 24/7. And I used to just kick off and pent off and chat and have a cup of coffee. And yeah, it was like amazing, to be honest. Didn't realise at the time what he was doing. He then made a beeline for me, got me taken away from there and moved up into his platoon. So in his company, sorry. And I got moved into the job platoon, which at the time was the problem platoon. There was a lot of drugs, a lot of stuff going wrong. So out of a platoon of 49, I graduated 18. I broke the record. I was 17 or 18, the smallest ever platoon to graduate from the college. You know, because we sorted it out and found loads of drugs up on the roofs, and just obviously because I know where things get hid. You know, I haven't got the greatest of backgrounds myself, but I've managed to like basically sort it out and look after the kids that were really trying to make an impact. So, and then I moved from that into the para platoon to finish off. So it's and then got another accommodation. So from absolute horrificness again, I managed to thankfully turn that around. But again, I had a lot of support of people that,
That's because
I used to tell the story that it was me. Yeah, I turned this around and
yeah.
I regained this and I did that and I worked my ass off.
I mean, you've
But
got
it was
people
these
there who've
people.
seen the potential in you,
Yeah,
and where you've suffered from it before, where people are just too concerned about their own asses, basically. So the first time it
yeah,
happened to you there, people were just bothered about their own, cover of their own backs and stuff like that. Whereas this time, and the guy who you were talking to about earlier before, who you sat down with, the new BC and that, they've seen the potential in you, and obviously you must have had that potential. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent the time on you, and it's paid dividends for you, and
yeah.
paid, it's helped them as well.
Yeah, it's mad. And now you come across people, you don't even see it sometimes. Sometimes you do, but in general, I definitely didn't see it. I was too egotistic. I did not see. I knew when people were helping us and supporting me, but I didn't. I didn't see it. So I didn't want to give them the credit for it. Probably, I don't know, but I definitely didn't see it. But each time, I think I was changing and developing as I was getting older, which we do.
Yeah.
But I was sort of doing it now at a quite a fast rate, even though I was still copping up a lot. I was still very immature in the way I thought and the way I wanted to enjoy my life. But I've always been big on that. I think it's too short as it is. It is what it is. It'll take you where it's going to take you. You've got to try and enjoy it because it's absolutely horrendous. It's really really hard.
Yeah.
If we're truthful, you hear people like, yeah, it's easy. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's absolutely 100% not. And if that's what gets you through the day by telling yourself that, I'd rather just be truthful and find the challenge of it and try and get through it that way. And that's that's the way I sort of reflect on it. But I think it was around this stage as well. I went back to school, did my maths, did my English, got me A levels in that. So I started sorting my education out because my promotion was looking better, and I didn't really have much education. So I started getting on top of that. Did a degree, or 2 years of a 3-year degree, or 3 years before, I can't remember. In leadership and management as well, and trying to sort out some of the sort of education stuff. At this point as well, I'd moved into the boxing coaching role. I was stuff happened personally in my life. My wife had it. It was on the papers. It was very very publicised, but she had an absolutely tragic, RTA, which nearly resulted in the loss of her life. To be honest, which changed my life overnight. Totally changed my life overnight because my world became about somebody else and not myself. But yeah, I mean, that's just a separate element, like completely altogether. God, which covers and touches literally everything from mental health to rehabilitation, trying to help teach somebody to walk. That was probably the hardest 6 months of my entire life to live in day now.
Was that while he was still
Just going
serving?
through that. Yeah.
Did the army help you with that?
No. So when I found out I was on exercise, so I'd literally said, we weren't married at the time. I just give her a kiss and said I love you. Left on the door, went to work, went to exercise. One of the tack exercises, can't remember, but not to burn. And I had my phone turned off. Obviously, turned my phone on the last day when we come back in for the coaches, and I just got loads of messages and voicemails, and that's how I found out that it was my dad. Part of me saying, obviously, you need to get to the hospital now. Everything's gone wrong, blah, blah, blah. One of the platoon sergeants, who was another legend, Andy, if I could thank him, I couldn't thank him enough for everything he did over this period of time. Just basically got my kit, threw it off, told chain of command what was going on. Imagine I'm a bit confused right now. Like, I've got text messages off my missus at the time saying I love you, love you to death, and it just crazy things. And then at the same time, I got my dad saying she's pretty much dead. So he puts us in a Land Rover. We're still all dirty. Takes us straight down to the hospital, to the ITC, and that's the next time I seen Kelly. So I had 2 weeks, maybe 4, but I was on. We were going on to leave anyway, so I basically had a little bit of time. I had whatever the leave block was, and then a little bit of time afterwards, and then I had the sergeant major at the time, who is the same one I didn't get on with, saying, oh yeah, this is before me hiccup, so this is before the Rangers. Sorry, so you see how many timelines are out sometimes. So this happened before, because they were trying to blame it on that, and I was like, no, it's got nothing to do with what we did last night and going out. We went out because we went out, and this man had an issue and I wanted to be there with him, and I didn't want him getting in the shit. He was going to get in the shit. So we got in more shit. Ultimately, it was a silly thing, but I thought I was doing the right thing. So this actually happened before. He was saying he had to come back to work, and then he was saying about his wife who had been really poorly and he'd gone through it, and it was like, listen, mate, you're just speaking utter shit. She's still in fucking life support. Like, there's not a chance I'm leaving the hospital. You know what I mean? While she's in this condition, I need to know whatever it is. I'm not leaving. And we're just sleeping on hospital floors. There was no beds for us. And he was like threatening to get the RMPs in. I was like, yeah, fine, bring it. I'm not leaving. This is 100% firm now. Anybody comes through the door, it is what it is. Just make sure you've got enough to take us down and take us out, because thankfully that never happened. Andy was running his platoon and at the same time took my platoon on.
Yeah.
So he was basically running two platoons at the same time, which is amazing, all right, to give me the extra time up. I remember eventually I came back down. I thought I had it together. I thought it was all right. I don't really talk about stuff like this. This is why I was nervous coming on. And I was in the office. The platoon commander was there. Andy was there. A couple of others who I had friends, making sure, and I just broke down. Literally just broke down, and they were like, right, shit, there's a problem. But obviously I'm not like that. And then they got us back away. They were like, you got to go back. I was like, I was in that sort of conundrum of mess where you don't really focus or think of what the hell's going on and really know what to do. So then I went back up, had longer up there, and then as things started progressing, thank God. What I used to do is, when she moved out of ITC, I felt a lot happier. She was out of ITC, regardless of the level she was at. So I used to go to work, finish work, whether it was 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then I'd finish off, make sure everything was done. I'd then jump in the car and drive up to the back end in Newcastle from Harrogate, and then I'd stay in the hospital, be with her, and then I would then wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning on the floor, and then I'd drive back down to work, and I did that for about 6 months, I think. 4 months, 6 months. It got to the point though where I had to, I think it was on a Wednesday, the CQMS sorted us out with a room, and I used to just sleep in a room on a Wednesday night, so I got a decent night's sleep. Or if I was on duty, I would get a decent night's sleep because I was on duty, So for me, that was a good night's sleep, where some would be knackered because it's intermittent. It was great. So that's how I sort of balanced my life while all this was going on at Harrogate as well. So which made it why I was proud with getting accommodations and everything else, because I didn't really get a great deal of support, to be fair. I got given the option: you either graft or you come back to work, or we bin you, or that's it. You go back to unit, because we need somebody in place, which I do understand, and I haven't got a problem with that, because time is time, and life moves on. So that's how I sort of supported and kept at Harrogate. I got extended, which was a bit of a kick in the ass. So I was like, I do really need to go back up north. But they were trying to keep us for longer and trying to offer us other stuff to stay. But I had to go back up north to be close to obviously home. So, and then obviously I got my staffy at the first crack when I got back. So that was quite a different period of time. Yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it? So you think that, when I was serving and I had personal stuff going on, you always felt as though you had to put the army first, because that was what it was being bred into you from you.
Yeah.
And when you have got, I was quite lucky that I had shit happen while I was at 3-9, and I was lucky that I was working where I was working. So we ended up, I ended up with the grandkids. We ended up adopting them, type of thing, almost. And I had to take them to school. So I was just little things, but I think it was because of the guys I was working with, the RCMOs. I was allowed to take them to school in the morning, leave work early. Just a little thing like that was cool. It's all right. I can cut all that noise out. It's all right.
Sorry, it's my son.
It's your house, mate. You make as much noise as you
want.
want.
Listen,
I'm not going to sit here and go, stop
poops, right?
You know what I mean?
Oh, no. He's got the poops, right? And he had his first, he's just sort of playing rugby. He'll be happy with that. He's just playing rugby. And he had his first away game at Bishop Auckland last Sunday, right? And he scored 3 tries in his first game.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he pooped himself in there about the first 10 minutes, whatever. He pooped himself in the middle of the pitch. Kelly had to run in and pick him up and take him off and put him in the toilets, clean him up, put his underpants in my pocket. And luckily he had these warm leggings on underneath his shorts. So we get him kitted back up and that, his boots on. And he finished the game, bless him.
You do realise this might be online still in 18 years' time. So.
Oh, look, my son's a ledge. He's only 6. Honestly. He was in there. I was up the club tonight. We've got loads going on at the minute in England assessments and that. And yeah, Kelly put him in the hot tub, and she sent us video. She goes, "Don't worry about it. I've told him if he's got a pump, he's got to jump out the hot tub straight away." I was like, "No." First thing I asked him when I got in, I went, "You didn't poop in the hot tub, did you?" He was like, "No, of course I didn't."
Good lad.
Oh, honestly, man.
Right, so you were back at 3-9 then.
Yeah. So okay. So it comes back up, and we have Afghan. This is the second Afghan tour. First one was amazing. Second one not so good. For obviously a lot of reasons that you'll know. So I'll be careful how I speak. Just went over. So got staffy the night before. No, that was my sergeant. I was already a staffy. So yeah, I'd been a staffy for a period of time. So when I come back from Harrogate, there was problems in the battery. You had like little triangles of sort of little power packs in amongst the battery.
Yeah.
So when I came up the regiment, I wasn't supposed to go back to 176. I think I was supposed to go to 132. But the CO, like I went in the office and that, and basically I'll not go into divulge the conversation he had, but he went into the problems that the battery was having. This, that, and the other. He wanted to specifically put me in there to try and split up a bit of what was going on in this, that, and the other. So that's sort of where I went. I took over a troop in 176, which I was over the moon about because that was my battery. Very proud of the time served with the Abus. Went to Afghan. Now, it was all good. We had a big TA contingent, which with the battery, which wasn't received well at all. Yeah, it wasn't received well. There was a contingent that didn't want them to succeed. Is probably the best way I can explain that. Yeah, you've got it. Okay, go on then. I love you. That's my 5-year-old. Oh, I've got 6 kids, by the way. I've done well. There were, do you know what? Some of them were some of them not so good, but some of them were really, really good. And they worked really, really hard, and they had an entitlement and a right to be given the opportunity and the chance to actually succeed. And I believe that was taken away. Long story short, I took my eye off the game. I took my eye off the ball, and I put a bit of trust in an area, in a specific area, and where I thought certain things had been balanced and sorted. I was quickly about to find out it absolutely hadn't, which then obviously resulted in me getting rather angry. And I'll still stand by every single thing that happened out in Afghanistan. And the reasons of hitting somebody and everything else was, I don't care what anybody says, was absolutely right. It was disgusting behaviour that was going on. There was absolute bullying, and not just against like TA male, but also regular female and TA as well. So, and yeah, I don't want to go into detail with that little bit because it would be hard without going into it fully. As the end result was, again, I think also that I took on too much as well. One thing I will say is I was absolutely exhausted. I was sick of just shit. I was sick of immaturity and how things was going on. But again, what I should have done was, to be honest, I should have just jumped in the Land Rover, drove down to the main camp. We were up at the back end with the Americans, and just had a chat. We're like, BSM type BC and just said, look, this is the issues that's going on. But again, I don't know if it was, I didn't want people to think that I couldn't handle it or I couldn't manage it, because I had handled and managed everything, and I think I was very good. And I just didn't want to admit a little bit of defeat, I think. I don't know. But ultimately, long story short, it transpired into what it did. And then after the first sort of incident, which again, nobody can speak about because nobody's seen, because it was down the side of where the HESCO was and everything else. It was only what I say and what he says. And what he says was absolute shite. It was then... that individual then transpired, come back into CP afterwards. This is when everything's trying to calm down and that, you know, nobody sort of put a divide there, an usher, which then again led to the second incident. But again, there was no contact in the second incident. All I did was sort of pinned him down, slapped him about, you know, with a hand and say, how do you feel about this? How do you feel being belittled? Do you know what I mean? You know, you're not this persona that you perceive to be, which he wasn't. I don't know where that come from. And then absolute nightmare from there. Absolute nightmare. So whatever the dark place was, Harrogate, I think this place was a little bit darker. To be honest, I felt all of a sudden this person that was, you know, problematic at times, then became like a bit of an omen, and where that was sort of where I sort of perceived that it really wasn't. So dealt with it wrong, but at the same time dealt with parts of it very, very right, and at the same time managed wrong, but it was also managed right at times as well. So it's quite a hard one to understand, really. Got back to England, and everything's now sorted-ish. There's obviously a bit of resentment at this point. I've got resentment, massive amount of resentment at this point. One or two of the people have probably got a bit of resentment at this point. It is what it is. And then there was a mess do. This is, you're talking now, I think, and again, if I've got time wrong, I do apologise. There's a long period of time from when we got back, from when the first incident happened to now being back in the UK and in the mess. Okay. Good night, really good night. Comes back, everything else. The following morning, there's one of the offices is turned upside down, trashed, with obviously that person in there as well. And I can't remember what we're doing. I can't remember if we're closing down or cleaning up or something. But I remember I had them all outside of one of the stores, and his eyes weren't right. I was looking at his eyes, and his eyes weren't right. And I was like, there's something wrong, there's something not right. So obviously I got him reported up to the medic, got him sent away to get checked, everything else. And then it obviously, as it transpired down the line, it was very, very lucky actually. Really glad that we did report it when we did and send them through. So, because that could have been really bad, and no matter what my personal opinion is or anything, I wouldn't wish that on him or anybody, to be honest. So, but he obviously ended up having a traumatic experience. But then he blamed me, so he tried to blame me for it, which was very strange, because it would have broke the world record in the Guinness Book of Records for having a bleed on the brain to not dying, because I think at the time it was something like, you're talking a matter of weeks, you know, when you've got this type of injury, and this is like months and months. It was just surreal, to be honest. As it went down, it then went through. I didn't know nothing now at this point. I'm just moving on with my life. It is what it is. I pick up my Sergeant Major, which I was very, very proud of, because I didn't take GCC. I didn't do the route where I was supposed to do, that I was channeled to do. I said, that's not why I joined the army. I've got no interest in that. I like to teach. I love to teach. I love to coach. But I wanted to go through the system, the rank system properly. People didn't think you could really do it anymore. And I did. I managed to do it, even with like getting bussed 3 times in total. 2, 3. I had the 3 different career stoppers, and then God knows whatever else. And I still managed to do it. So I was immensely. It's the only thing I've got army-wise in the cottages, the Queen's Warrant at the top of the stairs. I'm very, very proud of that and being able to achieve to do that.
Well,
especially with many people trying to.
I'd just like to say I didn't know, because I'd out and long gone. This is the first time we've spoken, a million years. So well done, proud of you.
I was super proud.
I am really proud of people who do that, who don't go through GCC, because I used to hate the fact that people in the artillery, especially, people get picked. You know what I mean? For that career, whether it be a good or a bad thing, but sometimes that leaves other people out who are as good, and maybe it's just don't the faces don't fit or whatever, for whatever reason it is. But I like to see them people get up there as well, and that's good because
Mm.
they might not be the shining lights. They might never going to be RSM. They might not get the LE, that type of thing. But it's them that sometimes hold the regiment together. It just is. So well done
Yeah,
you for that.
it was hard, but yeah, I was super proud, especially having the sort of the party boy tag,
Yeah.
and the fact that I was always on sport as well, obviously with boxing and whatever else I was doing. So it was, I mean, I had somebody say, "Oh, you only got promoted through boxing," and this, that's the last thing. That's the one thing that's going to stop you getting promoted. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't help you in any capacity because of the amount of time you're taking away out of trade and everything else. It doesn't work like that. So I managed to balance everything is to good effect. So, but yeah, so it's and then everything's quite rosy. I think family life's really, really good. I'm living now in the West End of Newcastle. The kids are doing great. I'm looking towards finishing my army career. Thank God. It's been quite a long, turbulent time. There was so much missed out. I could sit here and talk for about 20 years, to be honest, with what I did wrong and what I did right and what I really did wrong.
So you said you were nervous
Yeah,
beforehand. Yeah, you don't know.
yeah. Oh,
You're enjoying this
I
now, aren't
still
you?
am. I'm still listening. The stuff I'm talking about, I'm jingling up. I'm getting it wrong, and it's
No,
all
that's
upside down
fine.
and back to
That's
front.
honestly that's
Honestly,
fine.
I'm trying to be careful what I say out of respect of others, and rightly so, because like my opinion and how I feel doesn't mean I was right. It doesn't mean anything I've ever done was right. Just because I'm saying I believe I did what was right, I'm just trying to I'm trying to be careful as well. I'm all over the place. And then I can't remember what happened. I can't remember if I was on duty or if I got called down. But it was the adjutant at the time called me down and said, right, we're just letting... No, there was something on the board. Right, so I went in. I was coming off duty and doing the key changes, envelopes or whatever it was. And I remember looking to my right where the desk was, a big white board, and it had names. And it had like subject X, subject Z, all right?
Yeah.
But it had our names on the board. And I was like, that's me. And it was all to do with this big case, this civil lawsuit. And I was like, and this is the only reason because it was the first question I get asked is this, and I hate it. It's like, don't even ask me about this. This is as basic as it gets. Like, I came back up the battery, and the BC at the time, I goes, I think I've got a problem. There's a case on the whiteboard in the Adger's office. I think it was the Adger's office, or the two ICs, I can't remember. And it's me. I know it's me, and it's to do with a civil lawsuit. But I haven't got I'm not in a civil lawsuit. So at the time, he was like, right, okay. Sat down. He didn't know anything, and he goes, right, what you can do is slander. You can put a case in your own for slander because he's accused of this and said that, and you can do the same thing back. And I was like, I don't really want to go down this line. At the end of the day, I've known this guy for like years and years and years and years and years, and it doesn't matter I'm not going to tell you what my true reflection is of him and what I personally think about him. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of times with him, good and bad. I can tell you a lot of good times with him, and a few times when he was actually there for me as well. When I look back, so I don't wish anything bad on him, and I didn't wish anything bad on him at the time, to be honest. But I can't remember if I did anything or what, but it was sort of left anyway. I didn't hear nothing anyway. So I move from 176 at this point to 57. So again, I've just cocked up the ranks. I haven't got my Sergeant Major yet. So I'm a staffy still. So I've been put on a career stopper because of this, which I wasn't aware of.
Right.
Now, if I was aware of it, I can't remember. But I don't think I was aware of it. So I'm still a staffy, sorry. So I then get moved to 7.4 battery to pick up, because I can't pick up my Sergeant Major in 176. I've been in the battery too long. I've gone from gunner basically to Sergeant Major in one battery, which again is an amazing achievement. But I've gone from gunner to staffy and up and down the ranks a couple of times, which is beyond Sergeant Major. So I was really a captain. If you take all my bustings into place, I'm actually a captain. So I pick up my Sergeant Major over 7.4. There's still nothing at this point, so career's going on nice and everything's okay. Great people in around lives, Brummy, great guy, very strong. I had a night out with, like, later on, a few disagreements with a few things, with how certain things were dealt with at certain times and this and the other, but amazing. Like, I seen him on social media the day, and I think, he's a bloody colonel, or a lieutenant colonel. How amazing is that? Like, oh my God, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I can tell you some stories about him when he was a bloody full screw. All right, absolutely amazing to see that you can enjoy your life, you can cock up, but you can still go and achieve something as amazing as that. That is amazing, and I don't think that things like that get applauded or commended enough. Is what it should. Unbelievable. And but then I moved from, I can't remember why I moved from 7.4. I moved from 7.4 over to 132. Oh, that was it. So I moved from 176 to 7.4 to pick up Sergeant Major. Yeah. So then I pick up Sergeant Major, but then I can't stay in 7.4 because I've just picked up Sergeant Major. So I then have to move to 132 battery. So in the space of like no time at all, I've just moved on 3 batteries, and I'm now at my sister battery that I've always been at war with, like next doors, kidnapping each other, trying to absolutely intoxicate the batteries, you know what I mean, and run it down and everything else. And I'm now a Sergeant Major in it. I'm like, oh shit, where do I go with this? But it turns out to be an amazing battery and an amazing, absolute privilege to finish off a 132 battery. Like, amazing. We took the Zulu outfits back out to Germany, by the way. Yeah. One of the lads got set on fire. We were talking on social media the week about it, and I put a comment on. One of the lads got set on bloody fire. Again, it was just like 176. It was just an amazing battery. By the way, I love me time at 7.4. 7.4 was a great battery. And then there was a pack turned up, a legal pack that was actually delivered to us, that should never have been delivered to me, with this massive case, and it was for like hundreds of thousands of pounds, and I was getting blamed for like manipulating the whole entire British Army, and this assault that had caused a brain hemorrhage and blah blah blah, or whatever it was, bleed on the brain. So I remember taking one of the officers at the time who'd done legal, and he was like, "Yeah, this is a problem. You need to get this sorted out." So I still haven't got any sort of like support. Like, really, I'm like pretty much on my own, and I'm thinking, God, I'm gonna lose my pension. I'm gonna lose like hundreds of thousands of pounds. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is like just getting absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I went down to a great solicitors, and one of the main guys, one of the guys that actually own it, took the case on. And again, I was very honest, went through everything, and he basically went in and ripped it apart. But for this period of time, it was quite uneasy, you know what I mean? It was quite worrying because I was finishing with the army. I was worried about my pension. I was like, where's this? What the fuck is going on? But as it turns out, anyway, he smashed the case, tore it apart, got his £6,000 back. Hopefully he went on to get loads of money. I really don't know. I really don't give a shit. Hopefully he's having a lovely, successful, healthy life now.
Dad, I'm getting hungry.
Right, you're going to bed.
Dad.
2 seconds.
I'm getting hungry.
Right, I'm on the phone. Please. No.
Dad. Why?
No.
Dad, can you make
2
me
seconds.
pizza?
No.
Why?
It's too late.
I'm hungry.
Please, I'm on the phone.
So you just want me to start it then?
Yes. Kelly, I need help. There you go. Sorry. I get dominated off the 5 and 6
I'm
now.
going to cut all that bit out, but I just want to leave that little bit in where it says, Kelly, I need help.
Don't be scared of asking for help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can. Do you know what? Like, were you in the battery when I got done off the police, and I was looking at doing 2 years? It was hell on. I was a full screw, I think, at the time. I was Lance Jack full screw. I can't remember.
Was that down in Newcastle?
Yes, that big night out in Newcastle that went wrong, and I ended up in the midst of it and ended up in jail.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I know
Right.
kind of it.
Yeah.
It involved the kebab shop, I believe. I think.
Yes. Right. That's
Yeah.
the night. Right.
Yeah.
Now, the relief I actually got from this was on par with that. Okay. Completely different situation, because the situation, I don't mind speaking about that one in Newcastle in great detail, to be honest, because that just sums up how the army started changing, in my opinion, and how close friendship wasn't really that close as well. That was a bad night, that. But this was a bit different. And you just had like sides of soldiers that was swaying with me, swaying the other side, and it was like, the fuck are you all on? Like, it's really simple. This is what happened. That's that. This is why. Unfortunately, there's this really horrific outcome. It's got fuck all to do with me. You know, ultimately, it looked like he got jumped in an office and absolutely smashed up because the way it was all spun off, and obviously he was in shit state that morning, and it was months and months after. But how, you know, I'm getting the flack for it. But I remember it was with Kelly, because she's just coming with. Oh, we've got a baby as well, 7-month-old now, 8-month-old nearly. And I can remember when it was closed down, we got them last receiving letters saying basically, you know, it's been done, it's closed down. There was a couple of stipulations with time where something could have been opened up in a small duration of time if they chose, but they were like, we're confident, we've literally ripped everything apart and put everything forward factual, and you know, it is what it is. So, and that's how it came about. But that wasn't a great time, actually, when I think about it. And I think mental health wise, I think I was experiencing absolute horrendous mental health issues at that time without realising. I remember when you do the paper when you come back from theatre and you get asked the questions, and I can remember even when I was getting them and I was writing, I was like, I'm a mess. You know, I am a mess, and I'm not saying anything to anybody. And when I look back, I was a mess. However, the Newcastle incident, I wasn't a mess. I was fucking drunk. But
well, from what I remember,
God,
it was the other guy's fault. He started on you anyway.
No, it generally was. No, that was walking into the wrong kebab shop at the wrong time. And there'd been an incident early on in the night where one of the lads had his head pushed against a female's face, which resulted in him headbutting her. Or that's how it was perceived, but it wasn't. It was one of our lads come up behind him and did that without knowing, and obviously headbutted him in the face. So there was like a mass cull in Newcastle trying to find this person that had headbutted this lady. Now, I was at a completely different club at the time. So I was totally unaware of it. So I can't remember what happened. I came out, and I don't know if I was trying to get a taxi or trying to get something to eat. But as I come past the kebab shop on the quayside, there was loads of commotion. When I looked in, it was our lads. I was like, oh shit, that's our lot. So I literally went in just to see, look, is everything all right? And the coppers at first were fine. They were really cool, you know, and they could see. I was like, right, look, get your ID cards out, because whoever they're looking for, they're going to find it. It's going to nick everybody, you know, and that's it. And if it's none of you, like you are saying, it's going to be fine. So they kept getting the ID cards out. So I was then turning around talking, and then there was another individual then saying, get your ID cards away now. Because it was that individual that was in the shit.
Right.
So he didn't want, right. And so that was what the problem was. So then I turned around again, and I was like, because the coppers were then getting frustrated, and it was like, get your fucking ID cards out, show the coppers who you are, bloody something, like get his back and whatever it was, and everything sorted. So this transpired a few times, which then resulted in he was ex-serving as well, quite a big guy, come over and just beelined and just started going mad at us. So it's all on CCTV because he said the CCTV was lost. There was nobody there to get it. It was the court that went, bullshit. You've got like a certain amount of time to find the CCTV footage. And it shows clear his day. Because at the minute I'm looking at 2 years. Nick, by the way, for assaulting a police officer because there was a small scratch on his arm, even though I had fractured eye orbitals, broken nose, broken jaw. You know, not a single mark from the neck down. It was just a mess. I don't know if you've seen us when I came up. I'm trying to stay out the way of everybody because it was a mess. But you can see clear as day where the cop is talking to us and I'm talking to like it's all respectful. And then you see us turn around and then you see the cop baiting and pointing and shouting at us. And then you see us shake my head and then turn around. And it's probably at that point I went, nah, mate, you're not talking to me like that. And then the parva was up. There were, everything sort of masqueraded in. You had your legends, Brenty, absolute legend. You need to get him on here.
I'm waiting.
That guy has the stories of the British Army. You had Swiles's, oh God, Baz's brother, Lee. Yeah. He was still in Harrogate, so he came up for the night. And he's behind bars with me. That didn't go down too well. I just remember I was like pinned down, stamped on. It was. I remember being in the back of the meat wagon going to the police station. I was choking on my blood because the way I was cuffed up and lied down, it was coming back on itself, and I couldn't breathe. We all got put in the cells. Everything else. Long story short, it ends up in court. CCTV footage gets released. Statements in from like members that was there that weren't drunk because they tried to get all them taken out because under the influence of alcohol. And the kebab shop owners was taken into account everything else, and it then turned around that they'd been assaulted. The police were in the wrong. The court was then wanting me to preside to press charges. The CPS, who was defending the police, I think at the time, were then on my side as well. The judge was shouting and screaming in the court, which originally I thought he was shouting at me, and I was going down because the two security. I remember Harry saying, "Word of advice." He goes, "If the two security come either side of you, you're going down. So take your watch off." And the two security come either side. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm going down." So I remember taking my watch off and throwing it to my dad. But they weren't. The judge was shouting at the actual police officer that was putting the offences towards myself. And then, I then went. Then I went out Afghan for the second time. So that's gone backwards a bit. But I remember when. The only reason it's predominant, I went into the RSM's office, who I got on very well with, because the cop, his whole chain of command was supporting, and it was very clear to see. And my chain of command went, basically, we can't support you until you're either guilty or not guilty. And I was like, so we have to sit on the fence. I was like, but his aren't. Why have you got to sit on the fence for me? I haven't done nothing wrong. If I'm not guilty, then I'm innocent. It's clear. I don't need your support. I need your support now because I'm a mess and I don't know what's going on. And somebody's trying to get me kicked out of the army and 2 years sitting Nick. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, what's changed here? Because even through me turbulent times, like you'd always received some element of support. Somebody that's realised something's gone wrong. It doesn't matter what I talk about. There is... Yeah, like...
There was always someone there for you.
Yeah, there was nothing. It was absolute. I had a troop commander that was taking me to court to defend me. And that was it. That's all I had. So, yeah. It was quite a scare. I mean, thank you, Mr. Bell. He did an amazing job. I think it was Mr. Bell. Amazing, but really worrying times when you're trying to get reports written up, something to defend you, something to sort of give you a bit of backing, and there was nothing there. It was just you're on your own.
So you were coming up to the end of your time in the army. You're a sergeant major, obviously looking forward to a nice pension. How did you feel about having to leave the service?
I was to be honest, I was really I could have extended. There was other options like made available, but it was time to come home at this point. So I'd already, regardless of what was going on at the time, about -2 years, -5 years, I started preparing, but -2 years, I really started fixing on getting ready to come out. Kelly, when did we get the house at Chesley Street before I got out of the army? Was it the last 2 years, last year? Something like that, wasn't it?
Was still in the army.
Yeah, we'd moved away from like Newcastle, and we'd bought our first like proper house. So we literally tried to prepare as best as. We just had children. God, I can't remember any of this. My head's all over with dates. We just had me last year. We had a child, and my first year out, we had a child.
Bloody hell.
Sue wasn't there before.
Something like that. Yeah.
Sue was before married.
Yeah.
And we had
Denver, no, Sage in Denver.
Sage in Denver,
Yeah.
in Chester.
Yes. So there was that. I'd spent a lot of time at the end of my career boxing. That's when I really focused on the coaching aspect as well. Obviously, I'd had a lot of success coaching wise in the army as well, and thankfully when I was boxing as well. I was working obviously with all the shot as well, with the Army Gold, Silver and Bronze teams. We had Karis, who obviously just recently in the last Olympics got a bronze medal. We had Karis at that time as well, where I was coaching her, going through that period as well, and transferring her obviously with the Army Gold and then into England GB. So getting out, it wasn't too much of a problem at all. From getting out, it was like I drove out the camp gate and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even explain to people how you even put it into words. You give 24 years of your life, and this stuff I'm talking tonight, it's more like of the hiccups really, in some of the really bad times, and it so wasn't like that. And I'm probably just explaining everything to you completely backwards and wrong. And again, apologies if I have. It's just at the spur of the moment. It's hard to remember as well. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it just went into a black void. It was like, and I was lucky in a way because I transferred over to the territorial, the reserve. Sorry, I was supposed to be contracted running the RA boxing team, which I never ended up getting paid, and I did that for a year, Kel. With the RA boxing team, I kept that going for a year when I got out. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
They sort of, that went very political, and it just ended up getting screwed over, to be honest. So I had that link, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I still had that army link, so it wasn't like I went into this black void of just being forgot, but I still had a link, and I think that provided me a bit of balance. I thought it provided me a bit of balance, but it didn't. We opened up a boxing club in Washington, which is where I was originally from, and I used to box out myself. Big red flag area, really bad area, run down. We've spent the last 5 years like literally building that, developing it to what it is today, which is a pretty amazing place. Hammering into their mind suicide prevention, because throughout my army career, it just happened too much. I lost too many friends through that, rather than what we're paid to unfortunately do. But church will try and help and support that. Families in need, especially at Christmas. The gym turns into basically a big Santa's grotto with Christmas presents everywhere. We put them in big bags, and we know who the families are that are really struggling, and they all go out. It goes down to the local church. Kelly's doing some amazing. We're going to start again with some amazing work with the church that we're now with over in Chesley Street, and so like dealing, and then you're working with all these kids and adults, and a lot of army is still in with the gym as well. So it's that kept us a bit sane. Yeah, I can't even explain how I want to explain it.
I know what you mean.
It was
when I left, I drove out the gate. I mean, I'd moved off camp already, so was living up in Bedlington. I was working already, so my last month in the army I was working, and then if the day I had my ID card in, drove in, parked up, walked into our HQ, here's my ID card. Oh yeah, cheers. Didn't even look up from the desk. Right, okay. Where's my 108? Where's my report or anything like that? You know, I might need it for a job. No, I ended up writing my own. But yeah. And then got in the car. I drove round camp to have a look for like one last time. Thought I might get emotional. I didn't. I drove out the gate, and I just remember in the rear view mirror watching there was a launcher on the gate then, and it got smaller and smaller as I drove down the road, and that was it. That was it. There was no like ta-ra. There wasn't people saying goodbye.
There's no phone calls, is there?
It's just.
I think I got a couple of emails
Yeah.
from wherever it comes from, where you do your resettlement, and I don't know, even I couldn't even remember. They were just completely pointless. But I went back in about 7 months. I'd been out about 7 months, 8 months. It was to do with RA boxing and army boxing and whatever. And I'm going to leave this bugger's name out. And very good friend, still to this day. And he came up, went. I was smoking at the time. I've stopped smoking now, thank God. I'm over the moon. And went down for a cup of tea and a cup of coffee, sorry, and a smoke. And we're talking about meeting up and going out. And I was like, yeah, do you know what? It'd be lovely that. And he went, oh, can you have your number? And I was like, what? He went, yeah, I need your number. I was like, I fucking left 6 months ago, mate. Like, why is my number off your phone? Fuck off. I was like, if you've deleted my number because of that period of time, honestly, I was absolutely distraught inside. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, these people I've been with for 12, 15, 20 years, and they're like, shit, all of a sudden you're just nothing. You're like, where's the camaraderie? Where's that bond of invincibility that'll never ever go? It was just shit. Absolute shit. It was just a bag of bollocks. Thankfully, we're still speaking in there. Just caught up with me the other week, but that shocked us. That shocked us. Yeah, that shocked us a lot.
It is scary going from a big family, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then being on your own. And again, you feel as though, I mean, you can't, it's not just like, oh, fucking, I'm missing the lads. I'll just nip up the camp and see them. Because you can't. You're not in it.
Yeah.
You're not part of that. You're not part of that team. You're not.
Well, I think this is why I've got a big family now here.
So
do you know what? Like, I think coming out, I thought everybody used to say it was how you find it, how you cope, and easy. You know, life's so much better and everything else, and it is. It really, really is. I'm very, very lucky. Very lucky. But personally wise, I think I've had to change so much as a person, as a husband, as a father. Like, words can't even explain. And as daft as it is, thank God now I've been successfully, and I'm obviously coaching with England and that. The courses and the development courses and all the sort of stuff, I'm being privileged that I wouldn't have had the privilege to do because of that. Sort of makes you reflect, look at yourself. Even when you're in the army, you just didn't get it. The only people that are actually important was your bloody family. Everything else was just a bit make-believe, and just wasn't. You never had it in the first place.
Yeah, true.
You know, this poor bugger's had to, pick up all the pieces. There's nobody rings up and says, how are you doing? And, you know, I heard you were, really poorly last year or whatever, or I heard you hit, it was never there.
And we're all guilty
I
of
think.
it. Everyone's guilty of it. I mean, like, just before we do this, I never spoke to anyone for 10 years. The only
It's mad, isn't it?
But then again, there's the other weird thing. We hadn't seen each other for, oh God, like, fucking hell, more than 10 years. You know, I wasn't in the battery. I was in the HQ doing nothing and stuff like that. And it's as if I've just walked out the hangar and walked back in. And
it's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
It is that. Do you go to reunions, anything like that?
So, just been, right, so it's still like, can you remember Big Leicester?
Yeah.
Yeah, so me and Kelly, we meet up with Leicester for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. He's amazing, isn't he? Honestly, again, he's come through some very, 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 very challenging times, and he's doing amazing. It's great to see him come out the other end and amazing. And it's like every time we speak, it's like we've never not seen each other. Even though it goes quite long periods of time sometimes.
So me for a coffee and how long for?
Yeah, we go for one coffee and have fun. I'm still a coffee addict, by the way. I'm on like 12 coffees a day. Don't drink that much anymore. Don't smoke. And but he's the only reunion. He's trying to get me and Kelly to go to an old P battery one from Fifth Reg. And it's not that people haven't reached out to us from 3-9 because they have. It's just me, I think. I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, like I'm very proud of how I'm a better person today than I was 24 years ago. And I'm definitely a better person than I was 10 years ago. I'm not, like, my first 2 years out was probably the worst me, even though I thought I was amazing and I was an amazing husband, I was an amazing dad. I think I was just absolutely horrendous. And I was all over the place, and I had no idea.
Because your life was changing.
Thank God my wife stood by us. It was just traumatic. I had no idea. And then when I did know, it was too late. And then I sort of really, really piled in. That was hard. And it was more of a realisation that I was a bit of a cock end. Rather than, the fact that you just need to grow up and you need to mature up and think of more than yourself.
That's it. It's the grow up and mature up.
Yeah.
Because while you're in the army, it doesn't matter what rank you are. Yeah. We're just when we're in the army, we're just big kids inside.
You think of yourself above a lot. You say you don't. You say, I've got you, and and you just don't. You can't see it. It takes something or a period of time where something clicks. Some people unfortunately don't get it, and some people end up in a really, really dark place because of it, or on the streets or whatever. But so he's invited us to a reunion.
We will stay on topic.
I know. I think we are going to go to that because there's just people. There's so much I've missed out. Like I've had such an amazing. I'd love to write a book on the shit I've done in the army because it's just insane, and it's just unbelievable. Good or bad, good times, bad times. But like some of these people, like Big Jonah and this, that, and the other, they were just. I just want to see them. Like to see it. And I would love to do a 391, but I don't know. I think a part of me worries as well, like how you perceive people now, how you look at people now. There's a lot of stuff happened in my past where people might not realise it had an effect on me, but it does. I've got unfortunately, I do have a good memory away from names and numbers, and I don't forget many things. When people do stab you in the back or try and shut you down for stupid things, and I am still the same person inside as what I was 20 years ago, and I don't really want to put myself in a position because these are what's important to me, and there's people I don't like.
You'd be surprised. Something I've found already just doing this, and like I said, I've only been doing it for 7 weeks. How close all our stories are. You know what I mean? Yours isn't too dissimilar to mine. Mine's not too dissimilar to Chris's.
Yeah. Did he tell you when he ironed himself?
I'll ask him about it. He's stopping here Thursday or Friday night, so I'll ask him about that.
Ask him when he ironed his shirt and he had a night
he has told me about that, yeah.
Standing up.
But it is, you get, and I've spoke to people who I don't know, and their stories are not dissimilar to ours either. We've all got the same type of thing. And I've been to 3 reunions since I've been out. And they went for 3-9, and one was for 3 RHA, and one was for 3 battery, which used to be part of 4-7. And it was great. Honestly, it was great. It was going back to see them. I might not have been in that clique. I might not have been too friendly with them. But we're all different people now. You can still look back and remember the good times and stuff like that. And if you have got a bit of a fucking gripe with him, fine. Just don't go near him or whatever.
Oh, he's all that. I mean, I'm 46 now. I don't know. I don't want to be reminded with some things.
Yeah. I totally agree with you because
Yeah.
the reason I spent a long time where I didn't want to go to them, because I thought I would have felt like a bit of an outsider type of thing, because I was a bit of black sheep. I didn't fit in some of the cliques and stuff like that. But when I went to one of them, it was fine because you find your own level. You know what I mean? If that's
Yeah.
how to say it, then the people that want to see you will gravitate to you, and you'll gravitate to them. It's stuff everywhere else, you know what I mean? Wherever, but you don't have to go to a big reunion. But it's keeping in touch with people. It's so easy not to, and then once you not
Yeah.
to for a while, you become quite comfortable of not speaking to people, and it's quite hard to get out of that rut and then start talking again. I mean, like you've said, you've kept in touch with Leicester, and right, that's brilliant. I mean, I watch them. Facebook is it's either a godsend or the worst thing in the world because you can keep an eye on people.
So I'm not on it. Yeah.
But you can keep an eye on people, kind of thing,
Yeah.
snooping on their page and stuff like that. But it helps you, like, I wouldn't say keep grounded, but it helps you. He's up to such and such, there at such and such. And again, it's social media. There are people who are going to put stuff on there that they want you to see. But you get an idea of what people are, how people's lives are going, stuff like that. And I have watched some of the things Leicester's put on, and I wouldn't mind getting him on here, to be honest, if he'd be up for it. I'm send him a message because I know I don't know what he went through or anything like that. But I know he's been through some bad times, and I'd like to maybe.
He's done amazing.
And the other thing I've spoke with people on here is nearly everyone has said it's helped sitting in front of me type of thing, and just blurting out everything. They've enjoyed it.
It's mad. It's stuff I've not even spoke about since it happened.
Yeah.
Which is why I probably spoke completely incorrectly about them, and it's completely back to front.
No, it's absolutely fine, mate. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, weird. Like, never even thought about a couple of them incidents. 10 years.
And the thing is, you're going to finish this with me tonight, and you're going to sit with talking to your missus, and you're going to start remembering even more. And more and more.
Well, this is the thing. I'm going to remember the full side of it now and go, oh, bollocks. Andy, don't put anything on. I've lied. It's all wrong. Not how it happened.
But you just said that
when I was like, jumping 3 years and 5 years.
I should write a book. And I do think that nearly every one of us lot has probably got a book.
Yeah. It's, do you know what though? Like, I say we've got this cottage out in the countryside. Got amazing family, amazing children. I'm just totally privileged and lucky. I've got the boys, the girls. We've got the club. We've got a lot of luxuries. Pug, if you can call that a luxury, the little shit. I coach with England.
So how did that come about?
We've got the pro. Oh God. So I got basically from Success.
Yeah.
So and then I sort of got referred. I got asked to put in for an assessment. And the first ever, back at the beginning with England, it's about two years now. I had an Olympic bar dropped on my face by an accident where it was on resistance bands, and one of the heavyweights nudged it up by accident. It come down. We think we were training down with David Hay and Derek Chisor at the time, getting Derek Chisor ready for Dylan White for that fight, and the bar come down and smashed my nose, fractured my eye socket, and did something to one of my teeth. So I had to get that removed, and I was on loads of drugs, right, loads of drugs, because of the pain. So I went down for an assessment down in Sheffield, the EIS, which is the English Institute of Sport. And as I was going through the first assessments, I had a European female boxing getting ready against Russia, and she went to. It was a pad station, the first one, and obviously with the drugs and that, I was like, on a bit, went straight through, hit me in the face and hemorrhaged us. So I spat blood, and it was like, I've been in here 2 minutes and it's going wrong already. So I went through all of that, finished off when I was doing the final interview, I had to talk like this because it was just spitting. I couldn't control where the bleed was coming from. But I got selected. Anyway, so I must have done all right. But there was something had happened, and then I got story of my life. I got deselected. So I was like, okay, great. So I've been selected. So at least I know I was good enough. On a really bad hard day. I was dead nervous as well when you come through and got all the Olympians on the wall and everything else, And I went away, did a lot of courses, regained, and then I got reselected. There was one of the main senior coaches was like, no, we need to get this lad needs to come on. So I went on to what you call, it's a level 3 high performance course, which is about $1,000, and you've got to be selected to do that before you do anything. So I did the course about a year long, did that, got some honours with it or whatever, and then I moved forward onto GB, the world class program. Got really far down on that, but it was the amount of time commitment, because you're aiming towards the Olympics and everything else. It is an immense amount of time that you spend away from home, because it's down in Sheffield, or you're abroad all the time. It was like, this is amazing opportunity doing something I love, but this is going back to being in the army.
Yeah.
Which wasn't part of any planning, or and it's not really fair. It wouldn't be fair on the family like to put them through that again. So I sort of shot myself in the foot with that. But I'd moved on to the England side, and then I went down, did more assessments, smashed it, came top of that, and I've moved into England. So you've got like England, and then you've got GB above it, if that makes sense. So and England is amazing. I've already been up there, represented up with the Tri-Nations, everything else. Just missed out on going with the Europeans, but that's absolutely fine. And the level of coaching that's there. You've got the GB coaches as well that do both. You've got a very famous female, Amanda Coulson, one of the first female boxers, who's now leading it, and she's just amazing to work under as well, like unbelievable. In making that, it's just an amazing privilege. So to have the club, we've got loads of national champions, we've got England boxers already. I've just got another coach into England now, so that development suite's all working, which is brilliant. I get to wear the badge for real as a coach. So it's a great honour. But again, it's done. I'm like, okay, I've done that. Not really bothered anymore now, and move on to bigger and better, and see what else you can sort of do and strive.
That's cool. Honestly, that's brilliant, mate. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so that was that. So that was a lot of hard work in the makings to do that. So it was cool.
Right. Was cool. Well, I think we've come to the end of the podcast now, because it's been an hour and 55 minutes.
Class.
Yeah, it's amazing how quick.
I hope that was all right.
Yeah.
Good.
So as you've heard, Alan had a mixed career, but things worked out for him after he left the army. Now a father of 6 children, and running a successful gym, along with being one of the team coaches for Team GB. I just hope he goes from strength to strength in the future. I really enjoyed this episode, and I enjoyed catching up with Alan. So if you liked this episode, please leave a comment on whatever platform that you listen to it on, and share it on your socials. In the next episode, I'll be talking to Mike Webb. Mike served with 3 RHA before leaving and setting up his own IT firm. That'll be out in about a week. I hope you enjoy that one. Bye-bye now.